Okay. I have one more question to follow. So, Jesse and Steven, I have asked you guys both actually about the indoor radio because I do have an indoor BaiCells and an indoor Mosolabs. I put it at home and I want to make sure that it is okay at home. And the answer that I get from you guys is yes, it's an indoor radio, so don't worry about it. It's okay that you put it at home. Just so like I feel safe, like okay, it's a good distance. I want, since you guys both have outdoor radios, the 430 and even the 436 for BaiCells, and most of the labs you guys have this outdoor radio. I think we were talking about those ideal scenarios where people are doing their homework, going out and really doing proper deployment or try to. But I think there are also a lot of cases where they're just putting it on their balcony. So two questions really. One is it safe to put it on the balcony, say like, okay, I just pointed not to myself, I pointed outside. Is that good enough? Because at the end of the day, it is an outdoor thing. You're not supposed to, put it where you sleep at night. And then second is that how effective it will be if it is placed on the balcony as an outdoor unit.
Yeah, so you bring up a interesting question. I mean, safety around these wireless networks has been a topic of choice the past couple of years, even like major news outlets. But I think that when you look at the FCC ratings, right, that's where you really want to look at. You say, okay, these indoor devices are rated at a certain power level, which is, tested based on, the impact to humans and life around it. And these are safe for indoor. And that's why, these indoor devices are up to 30 dBm per 10 megahertz channel. And you can put your hand on it, you can put it close to you. It's made so that it's not going to harm you. The outdoor devices are outdoor because they have a higher transmit level. And so at that point, you don't want to necessarily stand in front of it all the time or put it in a place where people are going to be congregating near it. I would say, I don't think there's necessarily any like real danger to you. It's, but when you kind of look at the safety, I would not. There's not really a safety concern. Like if you have two and you're right beside me on this desk, not a worry. And I think that Jesse and Rusty here, I mean, we've all been in labs and places for a long period of time around these radios for many, many years, and we all still have 10 fingers and whatever. So no one's growing anything.
I think the other thing Andy mentioned is, how do you feel about it in your house? I mean, these are FCC approved devices. I mean, I think most people don't even think about putting a Wi-Fi router in their house. It's really the same kind of thing. So, you don't have a concern there. And on the outdoor radios, one thing to note is that they are directional. So, you point it and it's really transmitting in that direction, and it's intended to transmit in that direction so that power that you're paying for is going further towards the audience that you're trying to reach. And so, the power level in front of the radio is obviously much higher than it is behind the radio where it's minimal.
Does that also apply for like the BaiCell 436H? I know that one has like an external antenna. It's not built into the unit itself. And I believe like the one that they recommend is omnidirectional.
It's optional. So it's you can add a directional antenna or an omni. I know the omni's been a popular option because, just one radio is needed to provide 360 coverage. Obviously, you lose out a bit on the coverage because omni antennas don't have the same, antenna gain. So your coverage footprint won't be nearly as high, but it's a cheap way, right, to offer 360 coverage. So yeah, in that instance, yeah, you're 360. But generally, with a 436, you're probably not putting that with an omni like on a balcony. It's going to be somewhere like on a rooftop or somewhere that's at a higher point, so that you're actually hitting that 360 degree coverage. But yeah, the 436 is a bit more powerful than the 430 or any of the lower power radios. And then if you match it with a higher gain antenna, yeah, you're getting a total combined ERP that is a bit higher. But even then, the CBRS like allowed output power is still in the industry is still considered quite low. You know, compared to what the carriers are typically deploying outside of this band, their radios are much, you know, operating at much more higher power than these are. So CBRS is, you know, relatively very safe, you know, compared to the other licensed frequencies that we're typically, you know, getting on our cell phones.
And they're usually being set up on a tower somewhere with a clear line of sight. So.
Oh yeah, and there's a huge, you know, distance, you know, between, you know, us and the radio transmitter. But yeah, but CBRS is pretty low power in general, so it's not at any kind of power levels, you know, that anyone would have to worry really about the RF exposure of it.